Welcome back to Fast Grade Friday. Today we will be looking at how to make a two-strip color look very quickly and very fast. So let's do that now. So first what you're going to want to do is go to your RGB mixer, click the red to green, and then the blue to red. As you can see with this image, you can't really see it that well, but we have cyan and we have this like reddish color. Now what you're going to want to do after that, make another node by pressing Option S, then change the hue to 100. Now this corrects everything back to how it was a little bit. It's not quite there yet because as you can see, the red is now the most noticeable. What you can do then, add another node, go back on the hue to where you want the oranges to be. This way we can make the orange and like teal look with the two-strip color. Of course, you're going to want to name your nodes. So this one I'm going to name two strip, this one hue 1, this one hue 2, then my output node. Right click, clean node graph. Now you can see all of them really clearly. Now I'm going to go to gallery, go to stills, I'm going to grab a still right here. I'm going to go over to another clip that'll easily show. And as you can see, we have a really nice two-strip color look. But that's not all. Let's say you like this red and cyan look, but you want to keep skin tones natural. Basically what you would do, so hit Option L, it'll add another node, and it'll add this. You're going to want to go from your input to here, then into your layer mixer. Then on the bottom, you'll have your two strip and you'll have your hue change. On the bottom here, you can then qualify the color that you want to stay the same. For me, let's say I kind of want this yellow here. I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to qualify that yellow there. Shift H, then you can see that color really well. I'm going to make that color just to there. So I'm only affecting that one color. Do pre-filter a little bit, clean up the mask. And you can see it's affecting these trees up here, but as long as you draw a mask around it, let's say like this, to where you only have it affecting the area you want, i.e. if you wanted skin tones. And now you can see we're bringing those yellow colors back, even though we have that kind of two-strip look. So it's kind of giving us a little pop of yellow with a red and cyan look. Welcome back to Fast Grade Friday. Today we are going to be looking at a quick way to create the bleach bypass look, or also known as silver retention. They're a little bit different, but overall, we're just going to kind of create that same kind of effect. You know the one. Spielberg uses it a lot in his films like Saving Private Ryan, War of the Worlds, and Minority Report. So how do we create this look really quickly in DaVinci Resolve? Well, first add another node, hit Option L to create a layer node. So Option S to add a node, Option L to create a layer node, and it'll create another node for you. Then what you want to do is right click on this, scroll down to composite mode, then choose either soft light or overlay. Most people choose overlay, so I'm going to choose overlay here, but soft light works very well too. As you can see, this doesn't quite look like the look, so what you're going to have to do after that is go up to this one here. Now there's two things you can do. You could either desaturate the image fully, or you can come here to monochrome. Now, if you do monochrome, you can adjust more settings, basically your red, green, and blue, and you can basically make panchromatic, orthochromatic, and I'll touch on that in a later video, so stay tuned for that. But once you have this done, you basically have your look. So what you can do is go to gallery, right click on the image, grab a still. Now you have it within your stills library. These are some other ones that I've created in the past if you want to go watch those videos. And what you can do is preview it on any footage. As you can see, this flower one, it looks really nice on here. If you want to go even further, what you could do is add a glow node, because in a lot of Steven Spielberg films, he likes to use a lot of diffusion on his. I'll set this to screen, bring this down. I could bring down the spread. I could also like put up the gain. And you can see we're creating a nice little halo there. Today, I'm going to show you how to get the moody look in DaVinci Resolve with your footage. First, add another node, go up here to color space transform and drag it on. First, you're going to put in your camera's color space to convert your footage to Rec 709. Then for the output, you put 709 for the color space, and for the gamma 2.4. I'll name that 709. Now here, what you're going to want to do is first edit the exposure. There's multiple ways you can do this. I have other videos that I'll link to here if you want to go check it out. But for now, I'm just going to show you how I'm going to expose it here. First, I'm going to go to the offset and bring this down quite a bit till I darken this shot to where I'm happy with it. Let's see. Right there. That's looking good. I'm going to add another node, label this contrast. There's a few ways you can do this too. I have other videos on, but for now, I'm just going to use curves to get the highlights and the shadows of this image. I'm going to bring down the shadows, bring up the highlights a bit, and then I'm going to raise this up, and I'm going to do this, bring that down probably to about there, and I'll bring this down too, just to kind of create a nice little curve for this. Now I have a nice contrast curve. After this, I'm going to go to my printer lights, and I'm going to bring down my cyans, bring down my reds to give it more cyan, bring up the greens, and bring up the blues that I will label PL. Go back to my contrast just to give it a little more oomph. There we go. Now after this, I'm going to add a vignette, VIG for vignette. Going to add a circular vignette, put this at 70, put this at 7, maybe bring it up a little higher just till it gets to the edges. I'll invert that, then bring this down. Now you can see I've already made like a really cool dark and contrasty moody look, but to enhance this even further, I'm going to go to outer banking, put at 2.35, and bam, look at how good that looks. And it only took us a few minutes to get here. And this isn't even the end look. You can even push this even further. How you can do this is, let's say I want this to be a little desaturated because right now I think it's too saturated. So I'll go here, 3.5, bam. Now we got an even colder, bleak look. Or you can even just saturate this up, maybe 70. So you give it like a more earthy kind of green. I'll just keep this at 50 right now because I think it looks good. The last thing we're gonna do is I'm going to add a glow node. Now you don't have to do this for every grade. Right now this looks amazing. I'm just gonna see how it looks though. So I'm going to put it on soft light, bring down the shine threshold, bring down that. Then I'm going to adjust the gain so I get this to around the ballpark that I want. Maybe 0.39, 0.4. Then I'll put this at 0.5 because I thought that looked pretty good. Then I will adjust the blend so that it's not too over the top. Put that at 0.7 and I'll name this glow. Now right now this looks like a great like Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows look. Like this applies to a lot of movies, and this is basically how they grade it because it doesn't look this bleak in real life. If you go back to what it looked like before, you can see it just looked like a normal mountain on a cloudy day. But when we add this grade to it, it creates this bleak, dark, kind of like moody, very moody look, and it looks amazing. Now if you want, let's say you want this to be printed on film, what you can do is you can go to your output gamma and you just scroll down to Cineon Film Log as the output. You can do saturation compression, but I won't do that here. I'll let it clip. Then I will add, if you go down, you can see film looks, Kodak 2383. Now you might be saying, oh my gosh, this is way too much. What have you done? This is terrible. But if you just play around with what you already have like that, you can get a nice moody look, and this is what it would look like if it was printed on film. And you can change a few settings to make this look better and not as crushed kind of, because right now it's like crazy. But this is the film stock that they used to print for film. They printed it for Harry Potter, Star Wars, a lot of big blockbuster films. So if you want that look, this is a way you can do it. And I suggest grading it like this way instead of just converting it after everything, because it might look a little over the top. But if I go back to here and I put gamma 2.4, now we're back to normal and it looks great. So today I'm going to teach you how to create an autumn or fall look with your footage. First, go to the color tab and you're going to put on a color space transform. Put in your camera's color settings. Mine's Rec 2020, Fujifilm F-Log still. And for the output, put 709 and gamma 2.4. And that should correct your footage. And what I do is I turn on saturation compression so that the saturation doesn't clip. Actually, what I'm going to do, instead of putting gamma 2.4, I'm going to go down to Cineon Film Log. I'll name this 709 since we're converting to Rec 709. And now I'm going to go right click, scroll down to LUTs, then scroll down to Film Looks, then choose Kodak 2383 D65. Now you can see my footage was really overexposed, so we're going to correct that, and I'll name this LUT. And first we're going to correct the exposure, so put the exposure node here, and you're going to put in your color space and gamma into the HDR color wheels. I'm going to go -2, and you can see already we have this orange because of the pumpkins and the yellow, and we got these cool teal tones. And you can see with our vector scope, it has the same thing. So after you correct the exposure, what you're gonna wanna do is edit the contrast. We're gonna come to our curves, go down to editable splines, then you tap on the little dot here, and you can raise these highlights. But first I'm going to do the shadows. So I'm going to go here to the shadows, bring the shadows down. And for fall, I like to add a lot of contrast so it looks deep and dark. And you want to make sure it's not clipping, but it still looks good when it's dark. And then for the highlights, I'm just going to add a slight curve, and you can see that's looking pretty good so far. And the inspiration I'm taking for this shot is like Harry Potter, some of the fall things you see on Instagram. The next thing we're gonna do is edit the saturation. Now for this look, I'm actually gonna go very desaturated. So I'm actually gonna just pull this down to maybe about 38, and that's looking pretty good so far. And you can see we're getting this cold kind of like autumn feel. And now we're gonna head into our look. So first what we're gonna do is we're gonna edit the PL, the printer lights, drag it more teal, bring up the greens a little bit, bring up the blues. Now you can see we have a little bit too much blues. So what I'm gonna do to combat this is going to be my hues, and I'm gonna grab the teals and the blues, drag that down. And I dragged the blues down here just to create it deeper so it kind of pops from the oranges. And that is what the hue looks like, and it's very subtle, but it does make a difference. If I turn that on and off, there's on, there's off. And you can see it makes this kind of cold autumn vibe. And I'm going to add even more contrast now, going back to the contrast. And you can see how deep and dark that's making it. And I will say it's still a little vibrant. So what I'm going to do, bring that down by 5. You can see it real. Okay, something weird happened with my audio. It just kind of went out on me. So this is just a voiceover of what I did. So basically I added MD after that. I added around 15 just to make it sharper and more clear. Then I added a corrector node, and I basically corrected the shadows because the shadows were a little bit blue from the LUT. So I just raised it a little bit red and did that for the correction node. Then for the next node after that, for the darks, I basically pushed the darks down using the log wheels. So I went to shadows and just bring it down a little bit and kind of crushed the blacks. I didn't completely crush them, but I did put them down at the line. After that, I added a glow. I put the threshold all the way down, the spread at 0.5. Then I went to the gain, put it at 0.25, and I put the thing on soft light. You can see it up on screen here. I've made a vintage node, which was just me raising the shadows, and you'll see how I did it with the curves here. Anyway, that's how you create the autumn look. Today I'm going to show you how to get the vintage warm fall look. First, what you're gonna do is add a node. Gonna drag and drop a color space transform from the effects tab. Fujifilm F-Log is going to be the log for my camera's color space. I'm gonna go down to Rec 709, and for the output, I'm going to choose Cineon Film Log. I'm gonna name this 709. Then after this, I'm going to add a LUT, and I'm going to add Kodak 2383 D65. And you can see this creates a great look already. I'm gonna name that LUT but you can see the highlights up on the waveform. They're like maxed out, they're blown out. So what we're gonna do is go to our exposure, go to our HDR wheels, put in your camera's color space and its gamma. We're just gonna lower that a little bit. Let's see, 1.3. So you can see now it's at a better exposure, but you can still see that the highlights are blown out, some of the shadows are clipped. What we're gonna do is use the lift gamma gain to make these colors a little less. And for 709, we're also going to put saturation compression. I almost forgot about that. But with the lift gamma gain, you're gonna drag the gain down till it's about to there, and you can see it brought back so much detail, but it made the rest of our image look kind of dark. So we're going to raise that to a decent amount, and now you can see it's basically the same exposure but with more dynamic range. But you can see now it looks a little flat, and we're gonna fix that. Do our contrast down to editable spline, and now I can lift this up. Now you can see I can either go really heavy on it or just go really light. I'm gonna go really light, and you can see it's still kind of blowing out, but it's a lot more color than before. If we go back and forth, you can see that here now it looks a lot softer than before. Before it's just kind of like pure white. Then here we're going to drag down our contrast. Next, what we're going to do, since we want this to kind of be like a warm vintage feel, we're going to do PL, printer lights. And basically what you're going to do is go to the primaries, raise the reds a little bit, bring down the yellows, more orange, bring down the magentas because you want it to look vintage. And you can see this makes it like really warm, really vintage. And I would really go lean into the magentas here because it looks really nice in my opinion. And what you can do is you can even edit the saturation before this. You can either make it really saturated or really desaturated. You can even do that after this node, and it creates a different effect. And even with this LUT, you have a warmer version, which makes it even more warm. So if you want it to be more warm, you can have it like that. Really, actually, I'm gonna go back to the PL, and I'm going to make the shadows just a little bit cooler. So this is before, and that's after, and I'm kind of correcting the shadows. And here I'm just going to edit the hues, and I'm going to kind of speed through this. That's the hue. Then I'm going to add a glow node, GLOW. Just like the last time, I'm going to go to soft light. I'm going to bring down my threshold, bring down the spread. Then I'm going to raise this up, and you can see it makes everything pop. 0.35 I'll do because I'm trying to make this road kind of pop, and you can see the highlights are just insane right now. But bright region recovery, you can recover that. Brightness recovery, see I can recover those highlights. Now we'll do that 0.55, just a little bit. Put it at 1 because I want this kind of hazy look. Raise the threshold to make those shadows a little deeper. Then I'll go to blend. You can see how big of a difference that makes. And I might add a second glow. I'll leave it for add for now, but I'll just get that glow alone. Really focus on those trees. Spread that out, 0.5. And I'll put screen, and you can see when I do screen, it doesn't clip as much. Feather this out more. And this is just creating like a whole glowy. Anyway, that's looking good. Now you can see here, it's kind of cool. So what I'm gonna do, add another node, and I won't even add it after this, but I'll add it after the LUT, because I want this to look vintage and kind of old. Tap a point on the darkness, get rid of editable splines, tap a not so dark point like right there, create a little fade. And last time I named this vintage, but this time I'll just name this fade. And you can see it is more teal there. Now I'm just gonna do an overall correction. Anything that I don't like, I'm going to fix. So like I said here, you see this like teal, so I'm gonna go to the reds, bring the reds up a little bit, and you can see how subtle that is. It's very subtle, but it creates an overall warmer feel to the image. And if I want even more warmth, I could just take this, drag it to the warm a little bit, and I'll just name that warm. But anyway, that's how you get the fall vintage orange look. Today I will teach you 3 ways to create the teal and orange look in DaVinci Resolve and how you can combine them to make a professional cinematic look. For the first look, what you're going to want to do is add another node, name it LUT, then you're going to right click on it, scroll down to LUT, then go to Film Looks and do Kodak 2383. And there's different versions of this, but this is like the main one. Now this is what most people do, and this part is wrong. So you're not going to want to just put the LUT on just like this. You're going to have to convert it first. So what you're going to do, type 709 here, then you'll find a color space transform, drag it, drop it on, and you're going to have to convert your camera's colors. Mine's Rec 2020 and Fujifilm F-Log. And you'll have to convert it to 709 and Cineon Film Log. Now, as you can see, if you turn this on and off, the colors are more accurate with this footage than if we didn't have it. This is more of a bleach bypass, where this is more correct. But you might be thinking, this is still really crunchy, really dark. And how you're gonna edit that is, since the shadows are really crushed, you can bring up the shadows just here, just a little bit, bring down the highlights. You can see that's already looking really good. It's a teal and orange look. You can obviously adjust the midpoint to make the footage look more correct. You can also up the saturation, bring this more teal, up the saturation a little more. And you can see you already have a nice teal and orange look. And that's the first way to get the teal and orange look, is with the Kodak 2383 LUT. The second way of doing this is very similar, but instead of relying on a LUT, you create the look yourself. So here, we'll go to Gamma 2.4, and as you can see, everything we did before now looks like garbage. So you're gonna delete that. We have the Rec 709, add a corrector node, add maybe like 3 nodes here. And now here what we're gonna do is called split toning it. And it's very similar to this LUT, but instead of just having this pre-made LUT, you're going to be making it yourself. So here we can drag this into a cooler area right here. And you can see now it's not as crushed like the LUT, but you still have this teal going on. And you can push warm into the highlights just slightly, then drag this down to teal even more. But you can see how the shadows, they're a little bit messed up. If you really push this, you'll see that the shadows become like all blue and stuff like that, and it can look really weird. So we're gonna really push this. So what we're gonna do, add another node, and I'll name this one split, and this one darks. Then you'll go to your log footage, and you'll just pull this back up, and you can see you're pushing more of the natural color into it. And you can see here, this is just correcting those shadows just a little bit. And you can do the same thing with the highlights. As you can see, just with a little bit of tweaking, you start getting an orange and teal kind of look. And that is the second way of making your own teal and orange look, is by doing the split toning yourself. Now, I'll delete that. Let's say you don't want to do the split toning and you want kind of a more natural teal and orange look, kind of like how the scene is here. So the third way of doing this is balancing your footage. So where you have some cool areas right here, but you still have the warm areas. So we're just gonna make those cool areas cool while keeping the warm areas warm. And this is just the balance. And for this third one, we want it to look more natural, and maybe even like the set design itself was teal and orange on the day. So what you're gonna do is go to the hue versus hue. You're gonna go to your vector scope, and you're gonna choose your reds. And you're gonna bring your reds more orange, then bring your yellows more orange as well. Don't mind having a little bit more red in it. Then for this, we're gonna bring our blues to the teals. We're gonna bring our teals to the blues. And you can see it a lot in these trees, where if I turn this on and off, you can see those greens are becoming more orange and those yellows are becoming more orange. And you can even bring the greens up to be even more orange to give it like a fall kind of look. The reds we can push to orange 2, or we can push them cooler. And you can see now this is looking more teal and orange. And again, since this is low saturation, if you bring up the saturation, you'll really see this. And this is one of my favorite ways of creating teal and orange look because it really makes it pop and stand out from each other. This isn't even the end of it, because what you can do with this is you can combine it with the other ways of creating the teal and orange look to make it exactly the way you want. So this is the saturation, this is the hue. So this is the hue off, this is the hue on. You can see it makes a huge difference. The saturation also makes a huge difference. And instead, if you don't want to saturate it like this, you can actually saturate it in the hue. Go to these and bring up the teals, bring up these oranges, and you can see now we're really bringing out those teal and orange looks. And maybe I want to get some reds in there, so I'm going to bring this here, bring the yellow here, and that's how to make it teal and orange with the hue. Now we can combine all this knowledge to create the best teal and orange look. So what I can do, turn on this LUT, you can see looks terrible. That's because we need to fix it with Cine and Film Log here. Then bam, you see that? That's very, very saturated. So we could probably add a sat node to turn this down. Then you can see it's very, very crushed too. So we can actually bring up the shadows like we did before, then bring down the highlights. You can bring down the midtones. Up the shadows, down the midtones, bring down the saturation. For the hue, now you can tell this is very, very saturated, but this is kind of getting that orange and teal Hollywood vibe. Now we mixed 2 of them so far, and we can even push this further by going even more teal, then more orange in the highlights. And you can see that split toning just really brings out that kind of like warmish orange kind of look. You can correct for the shadows, and for the outer banking I'm going to put 2.39 to really give it that Hollywood kind of look and aesthetic. Now what you can do is grab a still of this and transfer it onto other videos that you've captured, and you can see this really gives it a nice orange and teal look. Just bring that down. Now that you know 3 ways to create the teal and orange look, watch this video here on how to make a cinematic film look. This is the simplest way to create a nice film look. Today I'm going to show you the simplest way to get the film look in DaVinci Resolve for free. So first, what you're going to do, have your footage ready, just add another node using Option S, name it 709, and we're just going to drag and drop a color space transform node on it. From here you're going to put in your camera's color space. If you don't know your camera's color space, you can look it up online. Mine's Rec 2020 and Fuji F-Log for Fujifilm. Then for the output you're going to do Rec 709 and Gamma 2.4. And actually, instead of Gamma 2.4, I slipped up Cine and Film Log because we're doing a film conversion. So from here, you're going to add a node, name this LUT. You might be thinking, I don't have any LUTs, but DaVinci Resolve comes built in with some LUTs. Scroll down to Film Looks, then go to Kodak 2383D65. Now you can see already your image looks great. This is basically a classic film look. You could basically be done from here, but maybe you're thinking, yeah, but I want it to look like The Matrix, or I want it to look like a certain film. Then here, I'll type this in primaries for the first node, and this is where you can make your corrections. Now, you don't really want to do it all on one node, but for this video, to keep it simple, I'm going to do everything on one node. So first, you can adjust your exposure with this wheel here. So I'll put it around this range, and let's say I want to make the Matrix look. So let's make this more greenish yellow. And already this is kind of looking like the Matrix. If you wanted to go into more detail, you could do a yellowish for the highlights and correct the shadows here. And now bam, there, look, we have a Matrix type look already done. Now we can reset this. Maybe you're like, yeah, but I want an orange and teal look. All you have to do, adjust your exposure a little bit, go teal. You might be thinking, yeah, but there's no orange or anything like that. Bring up the saturation to about 80, and you can see there's a little bit of orange. You want to bring that back, just edit that in. And now you can see we have this orange and teal look. You can even bring it up even more. So now you have this really vivid orange and teal look. I can put it at 90, I can put it at 100, and you can see the color separation is amazing. Let's get rid of that again. Now, let's say I want a bleach bypass look. So here again, I'll adjust my exposure. Then here, we can lower the saturation to maybe 32, and you can see it's very desaturated, but the bleach bypass look has a lot of contrast. So here we can go to the contrast wheel, can just slide that up, and there we have a nice bleach bypass look. Now this is very simple, this is very straightforward. You can make a lot of looks based off of this, and really the only limit that you might have is your imagination. You can tint this bleach bypass look, you can make it colder, you can make it look like 007, it's really up to you. But even if you're a beginner, this is the simplest way to create a nice film look, especially with this LUT. If you turn this LUT off and go to Gamma 2.4, you won't get this film effect. You won't get that orange and teal look. It'll be a different look and it might look nice, but it won't be that film look. Anyway, that is the simplest way to get the film look in DaVinci Resolve. I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Welcome back to Fast Grade Friday. Today I'm going to show you how to create that orange and teal look, or the 2383 film look. And it's really easy, it's really quick, it's literally a LUT that you can do inside of DaVinci Resolve. I'm going to tell you a little bit about it and basically how to use it. So first off, what you're going to do, in a previous video, I showed you how to set up the input output. We're going to go back into output. If you haven't watched that video, you can watch it here. I'll link to it above. But what you're going to want to do is go back to your color space transform output node. And for the output gamma, you're going to do Cineon film log. As you can see, it makes the entire image flat. So what we're going to do is add another node after that using Option S, then right click on the node, scroll down to LUT, then scroll down to film looks. Now what you will see is there's a few film looks here. We have Rec 709 Fujifilm, we have Rec 709 Kodak. Basically what this is you use the output color space Rec 709, and then you add this to kind of like emulate that film. Now these LUTs are more for preview, like if you were gonna go print on this actual film stock, because you actually can print on Kodak 2383 through different companies. I won't get into that today, but me and my friend are looking to do this for our actual film that we shot on. But what's great about these LUTs is you can use it in DaVinci Resolve for free, in the free version. They have a few different color spaces, or they have a few different types of 2383. One is like a little bit warmer. One's kind of a medium between the two. And this last one is a cooler one. Now, D65 is like a standard, D60 is a standard, D55 is a standard. It's mainly for like DCI projection, and we could go into detail here, but this is just a really quick look. But anyway, here, name your node 2383. And that's pretty much it. If you want like a Nolan kind of look, you could color grade it, color time it. I'm just going to grab a still here, right click, grab a still. I'll drag it and drop it on some of my other footage. Here you can see it gives a really nice teal and orange. But before, you can also see that the sky is already a little blue, and then that lighting's a little bit orange. But even if you go to a shot like this, which necessarily isn't teal and orange, you can drag it, drop it on. We adjust the exposure and the contrast. And then even if we wanted to up the saturation, we're seeing that we get those teal in the shadows and those warm highlights that the teal and orange kind of like look goes for. Now, obviously, this isn't the most super teal and orange that you can get. You can also do a few different things to actually get more of a teal and orange bias. And I'll show you that right now. But you can drag your yellows more to orange. You can drag your reds more to orange in this color slice tab. Already you can see this is affecting it a lot. With your greens, you could do either teal or orange, but kind of leaving it somewhere in the middle actually helps a little bit. Cyans, you can really push those wherever you want. The blues, push them more teal, and then the magentas you can push warmer. And as you can see, now we have a nice orange and teal split. This is very, very intense. Create compound node. This is basically my adjustment layers. And this is the hue fix. And yeah, that's just a basic way how to create the orange and teal look. So you want to get the pastel film look. Well, today I'm going to show you the best way how to get this look. First, what you're going to do, add a node. You should have one already. And you're going to drag and drop a color space transform on. After doing this, what you're going to do is scroll down and put in your camera's color settings. For me, it's Rec 2020 and F-Log because I used the Fuji X-T3. Now what I'm going to do is put the output as 709 and then come down and put the output as gamma 2.4. After I've done that, I'm going to drag that to the end. Now I'm going to add another node. This one's going to be my exposure. Make sure you label these. This one I'll label 709 because we transferred it to 709. So now I have the exposure tab. I'm going to go to the HDR panel. Then I'm going to go to color space, change this to my camera settings, change the gamma to my camera settings. So now what we've done is the one before is affecting the actual F-Log, and this one is converting it after to a Rec 709. What I'm going to do is turn this up. I like it at 0.65 for my footage. For yours, you might want to turn it up a little more. So this brings up the overall exposure, making it more dreamy, more airy, like the pastel look. Then for the specular highlights, you see how they're very, very hot right now. We're going to just turn that down, -1. And we're going to create a curve with this, -0.5 with the highlights, 1 with the specular. And for the light, we're going to do 0.25. Now you can play around with this. Sometimes it doesn't work as well, so you want to just play around with your footage, see what works for you. And after this, we're going to add another node. Now this is looking pretty good so far. After this, we're going to put the saturation. And for me, I'm going to turn that up to about 7.5. That's looking a little bit too much, so I'll try 7. So now we have this pink and airy look. So this is looking pretty good so far. It looks light, it looks airy, it looks nice. After this though, we're going to add an MD filter. So this is mid detail. I haven't shown this on the channel before, but what you're gonna wanna do is turn this down to maybe -20, up a little higher. That looks a little too soft. But what this does is it makes those really harsh edges softer. And I'll zoom in so you can see this. But you see how it's harsher? This just softens them up just a little bit. You can go really crazy with it if you want to, but then that makes it kind of look muddy. So I'm actually gonna do -12. I like to keep it a little more sharp so it looks more fresh. Now after this, I'm going to add a hue versus hue node so that I can get all these colors in the exact area I want. You can see this is a little bit blue. Usually when you have this pastel look, you want to make the blues a little more cyan. And honestly, I might actually just leave that. Okay, now we're at the hue versus saturation. So what I'm going to do here is with the pastel look, usually the reds, the blues, and the yellows, like all the main primary colors, they're more desaturated and kind of airy looking. And the colors that stand out more are the pinks, cyans, and somewhat of the greens. And so how I'm going to do that is I'm going to take these magentas and I'm going to turn them up just a little bit. Then with the cyans, I'm going to do the same. The blues, I'm going to do a little bit as well. The greens, I'm going to turn up a little bit. The reds, I'll turn up slightly, but not as much. Now you can see the yellows, turn that up just a little bit. Gonna go to the hue versus hue. I might affect these yellows a little bit because they're looking a little too yellow for my taste. And that's what we have so far. Now this is looking pretty good. I might actually turn down the yellows. Now I'm going to affect the luminance of these. So with reds, you're gonna want it light and airy, so we're gonna turn up the reds. Very, very light. Magentas, also turn those up. Almost every color we're going to turn up just a bit. The blues we're going to keep around the same. Greens we're going to turn up. The yellows we're also going to turn up. So we're making more of those warmer colors pop, whereas the cooler colors are kind of staying more subtle, even though we're keeping the cyans a little bit high and the greens a little bit higher, but not too high. And that works so far. The last thing we're gonna do is add a glow node, G-L-O-W. And what we're gonna do, just drag this on. This is going to make this whole thing look amazing. I'm gonna turn down the threshold, turn down the spread for now, and then what you're gonna do is you're gonna adjust the gain until it's looking a little bit normal, maybe a little bit overexposed. So keep it low, then turn it up until this starts to get around where you want it. Usually I like it at 0.25 or 0.3. I'm gonna go 0.3 here because it's a little lighter. Then you're gonna turn up your threshold a little bit until you like it. I like it at 0.05 right now. Then I'm gonna turn this to 0.5, see how that looks. Turn it to 1, see how that looks. 1.3, see how that looks. And you can see it gives it this airy looking feel, this kind of pastel look. It looks very beautiful. This is a little more crunchy. It has a little bit more leeway and like contrast between the two areas. So really you just have to pick which one you like best. I'm gonna go 1.3, I think. That is looking good. If anything, the highlights are kind of looking a little bit muddy this way, so I might actually turn this down. 0.5, 0.7. 0.7 is looking good. 0.1 is looking good. I might go 0.7. I'll go 0.7. Now that looks amazing. I'm gonna name this glow. And you can always turn down this effect if it's too strong with the blend option in the global. So I'm gonna see what it looks like. I might keep this at 0.75. So I'll keep it on the higher side, but I will still have it there. And there we go. That is looking very beautiful. And I'm going to, for the output banking, you can do a square look to make it look older. I'll reset that. And another thing, if you want to make this a little bit more looking like a pastel color palette, you can go to the vector scope, see what it looks like, and you can adjust this, your printer lights. You can do this before the exposure node if you need, but you can always turn that down, turn that more pink. You can turn it more green if you want to. So it can go more green, put that as more red, and that makes it more warm pastel. And you can turn the magenta down and the cyan down, and that will make it a more cool pastel. So those are the two different types of pastels. Warmish color, or you can do a coolish pastel look. And that really depends on how you want it to look. And usually you would do this before the exposure node. So I'll show you that right now. So to make it different color pastels, turn this down to maybe 24 and this down 24. And you can see it's still pastel, but it kind of looks cooler. Now, if we want a warmer pastel, we'll turn that up to 26. And that already looks like a warm pastel, but you can also turn this up to 26 and it'll create a warmer pastel. You can just play around with these colors and see what works best for you. And that is how you get the pastel look. Please like and subscribe. Really helps out the channel. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. If I turn this on and off, you can see those reds now look a lot more deep, rich, like it would be with film. Welcome back, filmmakers. Today I'm going to be showing you how to get the Super 8 look. I have my footage set up here. What I'm going to do is first, this is the most important step, go to your timeline, go all the way down to output blanking, then choose 1.33. Now this gives you this box effect that Super 8 is usually shot on. It's usually 4:3 for Super 8. Once you have this, you're going to have to import another piece of media, which is grain. So while you're in your media storage tab, you want to locate where your grain is. Now you can get these completely for free offline if you just look. You want to make sure there's no license for it. Select all of your footage, then go and right click, then scroll down to add to media pool as matte. Now when you add it as a matte, you're gonna go to your color tab. Now you have this set up to where you have the black bars, you have your grain ready so that you can put it on. And first what you're gonna do, color grade it how you would normally color grade. I'm actually going to do the 709 node here, and then I'm also going to add a node by Option S. I'm going to name this Cine. Drag in a color space transform to here too. And for the Cine, you're going to do Rec 2020 to 709. And then for Fujifilm F-Log, and then for the output gamma, you're going to go down to Cine and Film Log. So now it's in a film log, and you can do saturation compression, so it compresses the saturation. And you can see now this is super flat, but it looks a lot more saturated. So then for the 709 node, you're gonna come here. For the color space, you're just gonna do input 709, output 709. Then for here, you're gonna do the output gamma 2.4. And for the input, you're gonna put Cine film log. So now you have a Rec 709 image. And the reason we put the Cine here before is because we're going to actually put the grain right in between here. We're gonna do a few other things as well to make it look as film-like as possible. So here, if you're gonna add the grain, right click on the node, go down to add matte, then use 16mm coarse or whatever film grain you have that you imported into your project. Then you're gonna press Alt-L, drag the green onto here, and you can see now you can see your grain. And you want to make sure that it's in the middle roughly about so that it's not messing up your exposure. Then for the composite mode, you're going to right click here, scroll down to composite mode, then down to soft light. You can see now you have an overlay of grain onto your footage. You can also go here, you can use overlay here, but for me overlay just seems too intense with this grain, so I just stick with soft light. Soft light is like the one I use most. And if I play this back, and after Cine, we're also going to blur. And here, instead of going to the regular blur tab, I actually want to use Gaussian blur. The reason why I use this is because it kind of gives it a different kind of blur. It just looks better for me. So I'm gonna up this just a little bit. I like it around 0.23. Sometimes I go 0.2. And let's watch this playback. Now it's kind of hard to see because everything is out of focus on mine. But if I go slow, if I go frame by frame, you can see this kind of looks like grain on Super 8. So now we have the overall film look set up, and we can do a few other things. For now, I'm going to add this, grab a still, and we're gonna come back to this later because right now I wanna focus on the colors. So now that we've set up the grain and everything, I can delete all that because I saved it here in the gallery. I'm going to come here and focus on the colors. So we can do exposure, saturation, let's add contrast in here. And don't forget PL for printer lights. Now we have all this here. We're going to come to timeline. I like to do this, but I like to separate the grain from the actual color grade so that I can just focus on the color grade. And I'm gonna get rid of the blur and I'm gonna get rid of the grain here by just turning these two off. And if I turn those two off, you can just focus on the colors here. So now I go back to clip. Here, you can edit your exposure by coming to the HDR wheels, plug in your camera's color space, and now I can edit my exposure. I think I'm going to keep it just around here. Basic exposure. Now for the contrast, this really depends on your footage. If your footage is already really contrasty, you don't need to do this. I like to turn on editable splines, then drag down my shadows a little bit and drag up my highlights just to create a nice contrast curve. But I'm just gonna do this for now, but just know I might turn this off afterwards. Next, you go to your printer lights. Now, from my experience with Super 8, usually it's kind of got like a magenta cast. So the whole image is more magenta. So I'm gonna drag it magenta. The highlights usually have like this warm pinkish kind of tint. Then the shadows, you get like this bluish purple kind of tint. And now you might be saying, well, now the image just looks ridiculous. But what you can do is drag your gamma and make it more green. You can either make it more warm green or make it more cool green. Like this is before it's like really green and kind of like muddled, but now it kind of looks cool. And just play around with it until you get something you like. So now I have the highlights are more pink, and really you don't really need to do this step if you don't want to, but I like to do it. If you're looking to saturate your footage because it looks desaturated, or you want to desaturate your footage, you can turn off channel 1, turn off channel 3, then go to HSV. And here what this does, now you're doing subtractive coloring or subtractive saturation. So now you can really up this and you can see how the colors get darker as you saturate it. Now that is way too much. Let's say the reds are kind of already oversaturated. You can just saturate the midtones like that. I will say this is looking a little desaturated other than the reds, so I'm going to saturate it just a little bit, bring it up, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to correct all this with a hue node. So anything I don't like these reds are kind of intense right now. I'm actually going to affect the hue too, so I'm going to go to the vector scope. You can see it's leaning more magenta. I'm just going to bring this more red, and you can see now this is really looking like a film type red. And I'm going to bring the greens more warm, just to give it like a warmer cast, like it's a warm summer day. If I turn this on and off, you can see those reds now look a lot more deep, rich, like it would be with film. So now we can go back to timeline, and you can turn on the blur, and you can turn on the grain, and now you can see this grain and this blur are looking a lot more cohesive. And if I play it, it's looking pretty good so far. And you can see in the highlights, it's pink, like we were wanting it to be. You can see I haven't added halation yet, and this is one of the most important parts of this look. What you're gonna do, I would turn off the grain for this. After the blur node, we will put a glow node, and you can see that kind of already is doing something. We want to do glow alone, and you just want to make really highlight spots show up. Then for here, you kind of want to do an orangish type look, because you usually get like a reddish orange glow. Then you can put this at 0.1. Here I'll do screen, and honestly here it's kind of hard to see, so you can do red or you can do orange. Somewhere in between you can do, but you can see this kind of gives it a little bit of a glow on those highlights. It's very subtle, it's almost not noticeable. And if you have like a nighttime scene, like I'll just give an example really fast right now if I can find one. So we got this here. If I go to timeline again, you can see this glow. It kind of gives like a highlight around these. If you had white lights, it would look even more intense because you actually get a tint around it. And here, this is actually a good example. But if I zoom in here, you can see if I turn that on and off, you get this kind of reddish glow near the highlights of the image. You can turn up the gamma like this, and you can get this like really intense glow, or you can make it more subtle. Now all of this is completely free. You can see when I turn that on and I turn that off, you get that glowing highlight. Now if I add another one, let's name this flicker, and we're gonna add a little flicker addition. If we bring this up into preview, we can see it flickers all over the place, but it's kind of random. We want the range, bring that up for now, but the speed you want to bring like all the way up. Bring the smoothness down, that way it's flickering a lot more. The randomness scale, bring that all the way up to get rid of pause. Now that we kind of have this all randomly set up, we're gonna drag the range, and now when we play this back, you can see it has like this little flicker, this little jitter that looks pretty much like film. Now it's not perfect. I would maybe put it at 0.33, and that's looking pretty much like film. Now the last thing we're gonna do is add shake. It has like a camera jitter. What I've found is if you put it on rectified sine invert, that always helps. The motion scale, we're gonna bring that down, but for right now, we're going to bring it up. The speed, turn it all the way up. Motion blur all the way down. For this, I'm going to do 0.009, and for this, 0.006. Scratch that, 0.006, then 0.009 here, because you want the tilt to be a little more than the pan. Then you don't want any rotation. And here, I'll turn that up so you can really see what's going on here. Then turn that up. So this is what it looks like basically. This is the shake. This is definitely overkill, but you can see how it's giving it this jittery kind of vibe. So when you're doing this, 0.01, 0.01, this right here, this is a static shot. You can see that it shakes, and I'm actually gonna put that on a loop. And you can see it gives it a jitter. Now this is a little too much of a jitter. I would say put this at 0.006, put this at 0.009, and let's see how that looks. And that's looking pretty good. For the outer borders, you can keep it black, but for the cropped zoom, you don't want it to go too far out, but you also don't want it to go too far in so you see the borders. And it's a really simple Super 8 look. This isn't the most perfect one in the world, I'm not gonna say that, but for free this is pretty good. So now that you know how to get the Super 8 look, I suggest getting the cinematic look. Today I'm going to show you a more professional way how to get a moody film look in DaVinci Resolve, and I'm going to be going over some like intermediate techniques today, some stuff that I haven't really shown on my channel before. So whether you're new here or have been here a long time, you're gonna get a lot of information out of this video. Okay, to start, you're gonna add another node, maybe 2 other nodes. You're gonna drag one back here. I like to name this one output and then this one input. Now here we can add our exposure, contrast, saturation. Now after this, we're gonna add another node, Alt S, and then click Option or Alt P. And I'm going to get maybe like 4 nodes, and this is a parallel node. It's basically just nodes stacked on top of each other. So instead of having it in a row like this, you have it all stacked on each other so you can easily access it and you don't have to like try to organize your nodes more. And here we're gonna say look, and that is our node setup. So for the input, how you're gonna set this up is you're gonna drag and drop your color space. You're going to put your camera's color space here. Mine's Rec 2020 and F-Log. Then for the output, you're gonna do DaVinci Wide Gamut. And then for the output gamma, DaVinci Intermediate. And as you can see, this makes your footage look super flat, super log. And what you're gonna do after this is copy this, scroll all the way to the end, and paste it. Now you're gonna swap this by hitting the swap button, and the input is now going to be DaVinci Wide Gamut and DaVinci Intermediate. And for the output, you're gonna do Rec 709 and Gamma 2.4. Now really quickly, I'm gonna go to color management. Since I have an Apple computer and I don't want my gamma shifting, I'm going to do Rec 709A for the output color space. That way, I get a more accurate look of what I'm going to be looking at when it outputs. Now, if you don't have a Mac, you don't have to worry about this, but right now I'm editing on a MacBook, so I have to do this. Now that we have everything set up, I can show you exactly what you need to do to get started. Now first, we have exposure. This is pretty simple. Go to your waveform. As you can see, this footage right here is a little overexposed. It depends on what your footage is, but for the input, I'm gonna do DaVinci Wide Gamut and DaVinci Intermediate. That way, when I'm editing this, it's like very uniform. It's not going to really crush the highlights if I bring it up here, and it's not gonna really crush the blacks if I bring it all the way down here. And here, I just want this somewhere in the middle. For a more moody look, you sometimes wanna go a little lower. I think that looks pretty good right now. So now next, I'm going to add contrast. Now there's a few ways you can do this. You can either do this, but you can see how it's crushing the highlights right now and also crushing the blacks. Now it kind of rounds it off up here and raise this. I'm just gonna edit my pivot. I'm gonna make sure I don't go too far on this. As you can see, this is looking nice. Now for saturation, I want to do something that makes the saturation look deep, rich, dark, kind of like if I was shooting on film, because I want this to be a moody film look. So what I'm gonna do, go to color space, HSV, turn off channel 1, turn off channel 3. Then I'm just going to raise the gain. Then for here, gonna grab these blacks, grab the midpoints. Then I'm gonna raise the blacks just a little bit. So I'm getting those deeper, darker, richer areas. And that is looking pretty good. Now, this is still kind of low on saturation. I want to just up the saturation just a little bit more. So I'm going to go back to here and just raise the saturation right here. Because if I went any further on the one over here, it might be too dark for what I'm looking for. So I'm just going to raise it in the global just a little bit. Now, as you can see, this already looks pretty filmic. You got the deep colors, you got the rich saturation, and it looks like film. But next, I want to go to my look. Actually, first I'm going to balance the footage because right now it's looking a little bit blue for my taste. So I'm going to up the reds and oranges so you can see Here it's like that hazy orange kind of glow in the highlights with that blue in the shadows. And I like where this is all sitting. Now I can make this more green. Since this is at blue hour, I'm just gonna keep it where it is. And that's looking super filmic right now and super beautiful. Now for my look, I will try to get some blues into these shadows and some warmth into these highlights. And as you can see, this is just creating that like kind of app and glow look. Also, you can see in these darker areas, it's very, very blue, so I'm going to have to correct that. So as you can see in the HDR panels, I did the lights and the darks. I made this more orangey blue, kind of magenta. And then here, I made this more blue and rich. With the gain, I made it more orange. And with the lift, I made it more blue. Now in this node, this is going to be my kind of like a little correction with my log wheels. And the highlights, as you can see, I made it very warm. I'm actually not going to do too much. I might just play with this, see what happens if I do that. As you can see, it kind of corrects those highlights just a little bit, but I actually like it like that, so I'm going to keep it. But with the shadows, as you can see, there's like a lot of this blue right here. And it's kind of the reflection from off the sky, but it's also because of what we did. And it's kind of giving it a little bit of an ugly tint. So very subtly, I'm just going to lift it up. And as you can see, I'm gonna go really overboard with this. Then I'm going to bring it down in my range. But I'm going to just bring that down. And as you can see, it is correcting it. And as you can see, this is very subtle correction. And you might not even notice it, but here, if you look in the blacks, you'll see those just look a little more corrected. Up here, just slightly more corrected. And it's almost more feeling than noticeable. But next, I'm going to add a glow node. I'm going to bring down the shine threshold all the way, bring down the spread, bring down the gain. Instead of add, I'm gonna go to soft light. As you can see, this makes the colors look deep and rich. And basically what I'm going to do is adjust the gain until the exposure looks right. So that looks a little overexposed. I kind of want it more moody. I want it more dark, kind of like more orange and teal. And I really like it at 0.257 right now. It's looking great. For the threshold, I'm going to bring it up so that I just get those shadows a little more. I can spread it out, or I can keep it where it is. I think I'm going to spread it though. Me personally, I'm not gonna go too far in the spread because I don't want it to spread too far into other areas. I kind of want it to be more contrasty. So I think I'm gonna go 0.55 or 0.53. And that's looking really good right now. And this is almost like making a vignette, as you can see here. And it's really making those highlights stand out, whereas the shadows, they get darker. Here we have brightness recovery. If you see that it's making your highlights too bright, as you can see here, my reds are kind of up there, but this isn't gonna help much. And actually, I'm just gonna keep that the same. Then for the blend, I'm going to bring it all the way down and then just keep it going up until I like it. Then I'll go all the way up and bring it down until I like it. And I'm liking it around halfway, as you can see. And if I have it all the way up, that looks really great, but it's kind of strong. So I might bring it up a little more than halfway, just to really create that moody kind of film-like look. Then for this fourth one for my look, I'm going to personally add a vignette. And I'm just gonna do a simple one, kind of like this, drag it out, drag it in, make the softness huge, drag this down, and you can see right now it's affecting the middle of it. But if I invert it here, you can see now it's just doing the outside. I'm going to bring the size in, up the feather, and now as you can see, I have a nice vignette. And it might look a little too much. It's a little subtle, but it's really capturing that huge vintage film look. And this is looking really, really good so far. Now you have a nice film look already right now. This is looking pretty great, but if you wanted, you can put the output as Cineon film log, and you can see right here, this is kind of like really yellow. So if you wanted, you could put saturation compression. That way it doesn't clip those saturation points. Then you can add a node here, and here I'll go down to LUTs, go to film looks, and go to Kodak's 2383 LUT. They have a few different ones. I'm gonna go with the one that has the most warmth in the highlights, and as you can see, this is way too much, so you can just get rid of some of this contrast. Here, this kind of looks faded now because I'm just kind of like deleting it all the way. But if I put this at 0.5, maybe turn that up a little bit, then edit the exposure a little bit, and instead of doing that, I'll just create an offset, bring that down. Here you can see, now you're creating this film look, one that where you turn it on and you turn it off. Because when you have gamma 2.4, it looks like this. It's more magenta, kind of like glowy. This is more of a Rec 709. But when you have it with the film log, with the film print, then edit that, then put this around 5. You can see this is more of a regular film print type look. And it's very beautiful. This is like a more advanced kind of way to set up your nodes. And this can all be done in the free version of DaVinci Resolve. But if you have the paid version, or if you have Dehancer, you can add grain. So here I have 709, I can turn that off. Go here, 35 millimeter. And you can see right now, this looks very intense, but that's because this is in between the Cineon log and between this. So if you put it in between here and you just put that at the end, now you have film grain for your footage. And this is very moody, this is very filmic, and this is a more intermediate to advanced way of setting this up. Welcome back to Fast Grade Friday. Today I'm going to show you how to create a moody film look, which can be very interesting for a lot of videos. So what I'm going to do first is drag on my still from the color management video. I'll link to that right here. And as you can see, we already got nice colors. Now you can add a few nodes. I'll add 3 for now. And basically what we're gonna do is, my image is already a little bit dark. It's already getting into that realm. But we're going to name these. One is primaries, one is contrast, and one is saturation. You're gonna wanna make sure everything is brought down. So the gain's brought down, gamma brought down, and we're gonna lift the shadows to make it a little bit more flat. We can add back in contrast, and you can see that makes it darker and nothing's clipping. Already we have a nice foundation. All we did, pull down gain, pull down gamma, then lifted it up in the shadows a little bit. Then we pulled the contrast up and we moved the pivot a little bit to just get it in the right area. Now for the saturation, you can either desaturate here or you can desaturate here. I'm going to choose to desaturate right here because I like using the color slice a little bit more. As you can see, the more we bring it down, the lighter it's gonna get a little bit. So what we can do is add more density into here, making it very dense. And as you can see, this is very moody. And already this is a pretty moody look. It's looking pretty nice, but it's a little bit basic. Now you could stop here, but I want to go a little further. How I'm going to do this is I'm going to add another node and I'm going to put it right before my primaries and I'm going to label it PL. Now, basically everything was nice before, so we are going to make this cooler, almost like in Harry Potter. As you can see, the more we drag this down to teal, the more moody it's looking. It's almost looking cloudy. As you can see, if we look at the before footage, this looks like it's on a sunny day in the shade. This looks like it's under cloudy weather. Now I'm going to do a few more things to level this up even more. First, I'm going to drag this, get the aspect ratio a little bit, soften it a lot, bring this down more, then invert it by clicking the square here. And now we can just drag this down. And as you can see, this is a lot, but by doing this, this helps see how much we need to feather it. I'm gonna feather it quite a bit. I'm gonna do another vignette just for the outer edges. Going to bring it down, invert it as well. And you can see this one is just affecting those really outer edges. So we bring more focus into this here. Now, obviously, if you wanted to go back up to the saturation, you could like really fine tune this. Like, let's say you want the blues to pop a little bit. You could create a really cool look just by doing that. Then with these greens, obviously we don't want too much of a pop on the greens, but we can darken them even more, maybe desaturate them a little bit more. And look, that's creating a really cool look. And the very final thing that I'm going to do here is add a glow node. Now this could level this up greatly. So let's go to effects, search up glow, then drag and drop the glow onto here. Down here, we'll change it to soft light. We'll bring this all the way down, that all the way down. Now, of course, we could adjust this gain here if we think it's too dark. I like it a little bit darker, but not overly dark. You can see how it's kind of almost sharpening it here, but what we can do, bring that up to 0.5. You can bring this up even more. What I think I'm going to do is actually make a few different ones of these. So I'm going to copy paste that onto a new node. This one I'm going to put at 5. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring this up to where I like it. I'm gonna adjust the blend to where I like it in the first one. Then the second one, gonna adjust the spread to where I like it. And then I'm going to blend this as well. Now, even though this was a very quick tutorial, you can see that this is very moody already. These little adjustments can add up, they can make a big difference. What I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this still. As you can see here, it's different from my other ones. I'm going to name this Muted Moody. And now I'm just going to see what it looks like on some of my other videos that I have. Here you can see this looks very muted, it looks very moody. Even with a bright sunny day, it does. It's not as good. Now it is still muted and moody, but obviously this works on certain footage better than others. Here I'm going to go for this one. As you can see, this works really well for this one. And if I go to this one here, you can see this works really well as well. But however, with different footage, you might need to adjust it. Here, as you can see, I probably need to bring the gain down a lot so that it's just kind of touching those highlights. I might even need to bring up the gamma a little bit. And as you can see, this is looking really, really good. It's looking very moody. If I were doing this, I would probably add a mask. Just gonna do this very, very simple and very, very fast right here. But I would add a mask and bring the rest of it down so that this tree is very highlighted and the background is not as distracting. And you can see that's already giving a great moody look very, very quickly. And if you want to learn how to get a teal and orange look and create the moody look with the teal and orange look, watch this video here. Quickly decide to add the 2383 LUT onto this moody look. As you can see, I quickly decided to add the teal and orange LUT or the 2383 film look LUT onto this grade, and it looks great. As you can see, it looks very moody, it looks very professional. It looks like something out of like Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, something in that realm. If you wanted to go more Lord of the Rings, I would suggest going with the Fujifilm on this, because that's kind of the stock that they used for it. But yeah, this is overall how to get that kind of like fantasy, dark, moody look And that is how you get the moody look. If you like this video, please subscribe and you will get more videos like this where you can learn how to color grade different looks very quick, very fast, and very efficient. So you want to learn how to get the looks from Spider-Gwen's world. Well, today I'm going to show you step by step how I recreated this look in DaVinci Resolve. Now, before starting, I want to tell you that I shot this with the Fujifilm X-T3 and I used haze in a can to create a hazy environment because her world is very hazy and kind of glowy. So I used that and a diffusion filter to create this look. That's all the camera specs out of the way. So let's get started. So first, what we're going to do is label this exposure. Then we're going to hit Alt or Option S to add a new node and label this 709. We'll go to the Effects tab and we'll scroll down to Color Space Transform. Drag and drop that on, then put in your camera's color space. Now, since mine was the Fujifilm X-T3, I'm going to choose Fujifilm and Rec 2020. Then for the output, I'm going to put Rec 709 and Gamma 2.4. I'm going to put Saturation Compression. And the reason why I'm doing this is because when you look at the clips, it doesn't look like anything's clipping. It looks like everything is uniform. So that's why we put Saturation Compression. Now, as you can see with the waveform, our image is a little bit on the bright side. So I'm going to go here, put in my camera's color space again, and you can do this with your own camera's color space, but then I'm going to go -1. And this just makes our exposure more accurate. After this, we're going to add another node, and here I'm going to name it PL. And here is where we're going to start getting our colors correct. So as you can see right now, our colors are normal, but in the Spider-Gwen universe, it usually looks pink and blue. Here's the reference I'm going to try and recreate, and I'm going to make it my own, so it's not going to be perfect, but I'm trying to get it in this world. So as you can see, there's a lot of pinks, there's a lot of blues, there's cyans. So right here, I'm going to do 24.5, 24.5, and then 27.5. As you can see, this cooled off the image a lot, and it's more towards the pinks and the blues. After we've done that, I'm going to go here and add some contrast. And how I'm going to do this is I'm going to go to the Curves tab and go to Editable Splines. I'm going to click on the shadows and bring these down a little bit, and then for the highlights, bring them up just a tad. Now you can see we've added some nice contrast, and now comes the important part, the saturation. Now why I say this is important is because I'm going to do it in a unique way. I'm going to go to channels, turn off channel 1, turn off channel 3, then I'm going to go to color space and HSV. Now what this does is it only is going to affect the saturation when we affect in the primaries. So I'm going to turn this up to about 10, and then here I'm going to go to 140. Now as you can see, we're starting to get that color separation. You can see it down here, it's starting to look nicer. And once we have that, we can start editing the other factors like the hue. So for the hue, I'm going to go to the hue versus hue tab, and we can see there's like a lot of oranges, not that many blues. So I'm going to try and fix that. And actually, instead of 24.5, I'm going to do 22.5 and 22.5 on this one. That way it creates a cooler look. And with the hues, for the hue versus hue, I'm just going to take the reds and pull them up just a hair, just to here. So if you want to recreate that, that's that. Now I'm going to add another node, and here we're going to create a window to try and make this look even more like the Spider-Gwen world. I'm going to name this blues because this is where we're going to affect the blues. Going to turn on a gradient, go -90 on this because we're going to affect this side of the image. I'll go Shift H so I can see what I'm doing. Maybe I'll put that at 7, and we're just gonna affect the pan until we get to the edge of this chair. Now since we're affecting the blues, I'm gonna turn that off, and I'm just gonna drag this over here, drag it more blue, so we're getting more into that world. And you can really see that this is affecting it really nicely. It's making it more blue like in the Spider-Gwen world. And what we're gonna do is add another node, name this pink, and we are going to attach these two blue connectors so that we create the exact same mask on this, and then we're gonna go to node key and we're gonna invert the selection. So now we're affecting everything the blue isn't affecting. Grab this and really push this into the pink world. So now we got this pink and we got this blue. It's looking pretty good. Now we're gonna add our glow because it's like a watercolor world, so we really need this like glowy kind of hazy look. So this is gonna be our first glow node. I'm gonna type glow in the effects tab, and I'm going to drag and drop this on. Here I'm going to go down to soft light for the composite type. Then I'm going to do glow only, bring that down to 0, bring that down to 0. I'm actually going to stay on glow image, and I'm going to put this at 0.35. Yeah, 0.32. That's looking better. For the spread, I'm going to put 1.3 to give it a lot of spread to make it really, really fuzzy. And I'll put this at 0.02 to give it a darker look. And we're going to add another glow node, and we're going to drag and drop this on again. And this time, we're going to set it to screen. And since we did that, we're going to put that at 0.55. I'll put it at 0.5 right now. So I'm going to turn the spread down and just edit this until you think you got like a nice image. Right now, I'm thinking that looks pretty good. And right here with these highlights, I might want to make them more cyan, because in the image that we had, there was a lot more cyan. So I can go to the warper to make it more cyan. Now, if you look at our world, there's a lot of different streaks and stuff. So if you add a directional blur, type in directional blur, drag and drop that down, put that at 90. So it's going up and down, and put this at 2, blur strength. And you can see it's starting to give that a blur. Now, this is a little bit on the soft side. So what you can do to bring the softness back is add some sharpness. And there is a lot of sharpness in the film. So you can actually just turn up the midtone detail instead of the sharpness, and that'll make it sharper. And the final thing that we need to do is change the aspect ratio. Now the aspect ratio in the film is 2.4. Now for the aspect ratio, it's a little bit confusing because online it's saying it's either 2.39, which I'm seeing more often, or 2.4, which was on IMDb. So there's not much of a difference. That is the aspect ratio that you want to be using. And for the hue versus saturation, I put up the saturation in the cyans and a little bit in the blues, a little bit in the magentas, a little bit in the reds. The yellows and greens, turned it down. There's not many of those. If we even look at another image here, you can see this is like more magenta. There is some orange, but most of it is living in that cyan magenta. Anyway, that's how you can recreate the Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse look. If you want to learn more ways to create more looks, I suggest checking out my channel. If this video helped you, please give it a like. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Keep color grading. Today, I'm going to show you how to get the Studio Ghibli look in DaVinci Resolve. Now, how I'm going to do this, I'm going to use this clip here. I'm going to go over to the Effects tab, and you can see here, I've already converted this to Rec 709. How I've done this, I put in my camera's color space, and then I put the output as 709, and then I'll go down here and put the gamma output as 2.4. Now that we've done that, I will add another node to the beginning of this, and you can see right now everything is overexposed, so I'm going to first adjust the exposure. I'm gonna put in my camera's color space, then I'm going to lower the exposure to about -1. Now you can see here, usually Ghibli films, they look very bright and airy, kind of like how it is overexposed, but you can see once we bring the exposure down, the darks are a little too dark, but the highlights look great. So how we're gonna combat this is we're gonna go over to the blacks, darks, and shadows. We're gonna turn the shadows up by 2.5, and that doesn't make too much of a difference, but then I'm gonna put the darks up by 0.5. Now, it's not perfect, but if I turn both of those off, I might actually adjust this even more. So I might go 0.1 on that, 0.5 on that. I might even wanna turn up the lights just a bit. Now you can see we have a little bit more of a brighter image. Now that looks good. Next, I will add some contrast to this image. Name that contrast. Here, I'll go to my curves tab, and I'll just grab the darkest part of the image, and then I will grab the lightest part of the image and just adjust the two until I get something I like. What we can do is add some saturation to give this more life. Let's see. I'm gonna go to here, turn on HSV, turn off the first channel, turn off the third channel, and then I'm just gonna pull up the gain. And you can see this saturates it really well, bringing the darkness of the clouds in more, and it gives it this nice kind of saturation. Let's see. I might go, that might be a little much, so I might go to 1.39 looks good. And you can see already this looks kind of like a Studio Ghibli image. Finally, I'm going to adjust the hue. And another thing we can do is adjust our PL. So I'll do that first. I will grab one of the whites. You can do that with the clouds, with anything else. And you can see It's a very slight adjustment. Really, it's pretty much nothing, so I can get rid of this node because it's already pretty much balanced. But with our hues, we're going to go to the vector scope, and here I'm just going to adjust the hues to how I like. Now, Studio Ghibli, usually with the greens, they're kind of like really vibrant and they pop and they're kind of light. So we're going to try to do that here. First, with the hues of the greens, I'm going to bring that down, and you can see already the greens look a lot more like a Studio Ghibli movie now. With my reds, just slightly off. So now I got that in the right place. And the blues are in a pretty good spot, but I might make that a little more teal. Maybe 2. There, now that's perfect. Now this is really looking like a Studio Ghibli image. Now let's see, I will now adjust the saturation. So the greens are usually very vibrant, very saturated. I won't go oversaturated with these, but I will boost it up just a bit. You can see that change there. The yellows are also a little bit more saturated than you would see in a normal image. Same with the reds. After that, I'll pull up the blues. I will pull up these cyans. And you can see this is really looking like a Studio Ghibli scene right now. The magentas, I don't think there are any in this image, but I'll pull them up just in case. Now we can go to our luminance tab. Here I will be pulling up the greens. Now that I've pulled those up, I'm going to pull up the yellows a little bit to about here, and the yellows slightly more down. And you can see I really brighten those up. Now with the reds I'll keep about the same at 1. The blues, I might bring down by 0.8 just to give it some contrast. I'll go down 0.9 there. And it's kind of just like this S curve, but with the luminance and the hue. Now you can see this makes a huge difference. And I won't touch any of these other saturation tabs, but now I can add a glow. I'll go up here, type in glow, and I'll drag and drop this onto this node. Now you can see that's a little too much, but I'll bring the shine threshold down, the spread down, I'll bring it for now, and I'll bring the gain down. And you can see right now this is like way too vibrant, but we're not going to really use this for contrast, so I'm going to put this at 0.2, which is kind of like the middle ground, and I'm going to go to the spread and bring it to 0.5. That's looking pretty good. Maybe I'll do 1.3. Now 1.3 is looking pretty good. I'm going to adjust the amount that this is affected. I'll do 0.6 and see how that looks. 0.7. 0.7 is looking pretty good. And that is the glow. Okay, now this part's optional, but if you really want to get the Studio Ghibli look, this is probably the best way to do it if you want to do it with live footage. But I'll go to here, type in water, drag down watercolor, and I will do RGB, and I will bring this down to 0.001. I will actually put this back to luminance, and now we've got like a watercolor painting instead of footage. Now this is just kind of like a gimmicky effect, but this is essentially how you get the Studio Ghibli look. The only problem I see with this is like maybe the greens here. So what we can do is go to the color warper, go down to the minimum amount, grab the greens that are right here, and just bring them more green. That might be too much, but now those are a lot more green, and you could of course make this more subtle, like 0.83 or 0.82, and that's looking pretty good. Anyway, that is how you get the Studio Ghibli look in DaVinci Resolve. Anyway, I hope you have a good day. Thanks for watching.